Is there any favorite director you like
I can't
to
say
work
that,
with?
can I?
Okay, well,
Yeah.
silly question.
Well, to be honest, all of them. But I mean, there's obviously people I work with a lot, and I really admire. I love, and to be honest, I don't think there's been anyone that I haven't liked working with. You know,
Good.
some work with more because some become more successful, and if you're lucky enough and you started with them, you get a chance to work on their films. And sometimes working with a director again and again is good because you understand their sensibilities. That you understand you understand the making. Although each film may be different, you don't have to learn the person, because I think one of the parts of, from my point of view of being in charge of it, right, you meet the guy, he meets you, and there has to be this sense of trust built, and you have to figure out a way, and you as well, to understand what he's talking about, where he feels it, and I think you have to do that quite quickly, and so once you've worked with someone before and you work with them again, you know the dynamic, you know how they are. You know each other, and that helps to then you don't have to do that all over again. You know what I mean? They don't have. I remember Danny Boyle saying we were doing a tour or a press thing on 127 Hours, and it was in it was at the Zanuck Theatre at 20th Century Fox in Los Angeles, and one of the members of the Academy groups over there said, "Danny, so you I see that your main heads of department you try and use all the time," and he said, "Yeah." He said, "If I can." He said, A, they can all do their jobs brilliantly well. That's a given. And B, that I trust them, and I trust them to tell me when it's not right, and they won't just bullshit me and this, that, and the other. And I don't have to put my arm around it. I don't have to pat them on the back and tell them they've done a good job. So he said, all that's gone. So basically he said, so why wouldn't you? That you're just getting on and making this film, and everyone, those people want to make it the best. And he said, I don't call them what they are. I look at them as my mini directors, that I trust them to do what it was. And that's when you can get to that sort of point with somebody, all you're thinking about is your time. Whatever you do, it's about trying to all do the best for the film, and whatever it is. And if he asks you a question, you're telling them the truth. You're not sort of, and everyone's susceptible like that both ways. And I think once you've got rid of all those, all parts of life, the pleasantries between everybody, once that's gone, I think what you do is easier to do from everyone's point of view.
This process starts at some point. So my question is, how do you spot good young talent, and what do you think? Can you give any recommendations in terms of what kind of sensibilities do you have?
To me, I mean, like I say, we're all different. I like people that I like, right? And when I mean that they have to have, more than they can just do their job. They have to integrate. They can't be too, I want them to be ambitious with whatever they've got. But most of the people that work for me have got a good family values to themselves, within that, and they've got a heart. Right, now this may sound stupid to you, but when you're all there in these hours, if you don't have that, and you can, sometimes none of us are in good, we're not great every day. You've got to be able to put up with that, and they understand that, and you understand each other. But I tell them these family values, these values that they have about how it works for them as well. You know what I mean? So that they can build it. Obviously, they've got to care 100% for it. They've got to be care. And they've got to be willing to learn and be willing to be at the beginning to be part of, because I think you have to be part of a team and understand that if you're young coming in, don't come in thinking you know it all, because there's no one. You may be fantastic. You could sit on that Pro Tools and spin a plate in your head and fry an egg all at the same time, but that's not really what it's about. It's about, like I say, you can do that as much as you like, and I might give you a round of applause, but it's not really what we're after. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not the speed, or that you've got 400 gadgets running all through one thing. It's about, is it doing it for the story, and because technology can run away with you, or with all of us. I'm not saying I was any different. That's what I'm saying. I can remember being that person that was trying to spin an egg and whatever in show off when I was in my early 20s. Because and then I realised that wasn't the way to go. It was understanding the film, understanding the person, and understanding what we were trying to make out of it. Because every film's different, and I think we finished one film, and you've got to look at it I look at, say it may sound corny this, but it's like a piece of art. Someone's done that, it's paintbrush, and that is the only time it's going to be done like that. So this film for me is about each one person. It's not saying like, oh, we're going to grab those sounds from it. We're going to, we know what we're going to do because we've done one of these before. That's not how you approach it. I mean, it's approach it. What is this? It's different. So we try and that's what I want people to think about. Is that everyone is a different piece, and it's precious to that guy that spent 3 years trying to get it made. So let's make his film a unique piece of work for him, or her.
And in the film industry, do you feel well enough recognized?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
Could you imagine in terms of awareness of this whole field of sound, which seems it's getting better, I feel, but there's still something to do. Also, for some directors have to learn how to listen.
And I think they're learning what can be done. I mean, I spoke to a director recently, which I'm helping out, but I can't say the name. And they'd seen the films I've done, and they were having trouble doing a film somewhere else. And just talking about, well, how did you get on that film? You did this or that. How did you get there? And you sort of talk about how it's not just what we did. What we did was what it was. It's how you look at a scene, perhaps, with sound today that they didn't before, and I mean you get known. I mean, obviously I've noticed you get known a lot more now because to face it, if you've been doing it for that long, you're going to be known. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be doing it. But it's become there's a lot more awareness in it. I think we have to be careful, because there's part of it that I don't like. I don't like sometimes how people bigger yourselves up, are big in that, that everything's great, you're brilliant, all this. I don't like that. I mean, I think that's not a way to go. I think it's the way that we have the ability, we our senses and the people around us now, because it takes a team to make a film, a soundtrack, and the awareness of a director knowing what can be done and people around, and us doing it is all about that. So it's not all about you look at a film, that whole about us, me, that I don't particularly like some of those things I read or hear or that. I mean, I don't think that's the way to portray ourselves. So I think it's about we can, as a group, as what we do as or what sound is, the awareness to people to understand what can be done with it, not just what, you know what I mean. It's because otherwise it becomes a little bit funny to me.
But, I mean, here in your company, you have to solve practical problems every day fast and basically come up with a good mix in the end. Is there anything you would like to explore if you had more time on a long-term thing, where, for example, these academics could come in, or
I mean, I'm always willing to learn. I mean, listen, I mean, I'm not, that's my I mean, that's, I love it when some of they love all these. I got these mics, and I talked to one of my friends is an audiologist, and he was an audiologist of the year for 4 times or something, and I quite find fascinating. I can remember talking to him when we were doing Gravity about what can you hear? I was saying, is there anything you got, because he makes these little things. I said, can you make something you can stick a microphone right down into the base of the ear and record the signals and things like that, because I wanted to hear how they, the technology is about sound to them, and they build these things, and they got these amplifiers, and they're like that tiny, aren't they? And it's fascinating how, and I do watch some of these programs sometimes when these scientists are not doing sound, but they're using sound to explore other things, and sometimes I love that. I love to know how they do it, because what they're exploring, they're getting some weird sounds out of it that we could use, but they're doing it for a completely different purpose, not to put in the film. In fact, we use this mic, and I can't remember, you might know, it's like a steel pole. They use it for oil exploration. Basically, they put it in the ground, they bang it vibrates, sends a signal down, and then it comes back up again, and it when it breaks through, when it gets to oil or water or something, it sends a signal back out. It's a noise. And this is cool. So we used that with that lot of those sounds. We used them. I forget what it's called now, but we used all these when we did Gravity. When we're banging things, we recorded so that we'd get this. We're banging the side of a ship. We had panels, and then we'd bang that. We did that, and that was something come from someone read about how they used. And I mean, I think there's sounding everywhere. I mean, I watch these. I'm an avid documentary watcher. I love, when I finish at home, I don't always go and watch a film. I would go to the Sky. I go to the documentary channels, and I love it, and you see sometimes what they've recorded. These guys, when they go and record, they get the signal of these whales, and you hear about this whale's got the, what is it, what whale was it, the about 200 something decibel. It's the loudest animal on the earth, and they blow this signal out, and they create like bubbles, and the sound waves push all the fish to the surface, and then they go run round it, and at the same time this one does that, the other one whizzes round and blows these massive bubbles, and it becomes a net. But it's the sound waves that underneath are this unbelievable. You can hear them right out of the water. It's right down, and it throws it out, and it pushes all the fish to the top, and they can't escape because the other one's made these bubbles. But the sound was amazing. And what is it, that one with the oil, what's that? That whale with the oil in it? You had the sound with that. It's got this oil that it makes this major sound that can be heard miles and miles and miles away. And it's ones that they used in the for all the candles, all the street lights in London and places like that. But this oil, what's it? It's got this big thing at the front of it, but there's this oil, and the sound comes around. It does something. It's the oil that makes this major. It's the pressure of the oil when it blows. The oil hits, and it sends this sound out. You have to look it up. I'll come to me in a minute. But I was listening to them recording that and how they did it, but the sound of these people, and they were just exploring, not for the sound purposes, they were exploring for how it was used.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we can learn. I mean, anything that people can come up with another way of. I love it when you.
Yeah, the BBC nature program.
Yeah.
What they come up with.
Yeah.
But sometimes they cheat.
I know they cheat a lot. Yeah, I can tell when they cheat as well.
I mean, especially with sound, because it's impossible sometimes to record.
No, you can hear
certain things.
You can hear the footsteps of the fingers going across the leaves. But it's smoke and mirrors, isn't it? That's what we do, isn't it? A lot of the time. But I mean, some of these guys, they go and they literally. I mean, they just record for archiving purposes, don't they? And they're not like us. They're not trying to put it in a film and correct stuff. They're just recording over different times of these valleys, and they just go to extraordinary places in the world and try and get recording in unbelievable temperatures and things like that. We tried to do that on the we did it in Everest. We put 2 sets of microphones at base camp, and trying to figure out how we get. Because one of the problems that knocks your mics out is the dampness, and we found out that someone's putting lead around the bottom of the mic, because lead absorbs moisture. There you go. So you learn these things, because we were trying to put these mics out for a period of time just to see what happened. We did the same thing when we did 127 hours. We went to Utah, and when he cut his arm off, we put recorders and microphones down there for periods of 24-hour cycles, just to record, to get the feeling of the place. It's not necessarily usable, but it's to get the idea of what it was, because and when we did put it in, for certain places, the bit where he cuts his arm off. Have you ever seen that film? That knife going into that wall. We recorded that in exactly the right place that he cut his arm off. That's pretty cool.
Okay, maybe a last question. The final mix in a big theatre. What's the main reason for doing that? Why can't you do it here?
Well, you can. I mean, sometimes if the budget's not right, someone will do it in here. And it's. I think a lot of it on a big film, it's trying to. It's the big screen, and you're trying to put yourself as much as you can. I love it in the big room. It's because you're trying to put yourself, because the idea of a film is that, ideally for us as filmmakers, is that people will go to a cinema and see it on a big screen. So seeing it like that, sometimes it makes you feel that the left or the right, the width, the scale that you're making is, and that also it's going to play in a big room, and it's sort of replicating that. And obviously with budgets and things, the rooms are coming down, and you adjust that. Because the room here is massive, and certain parts of the country in the middle of London, it just costs so much money, and you wouldn't be able to do it because of you'd have to charge so much an hour just to cover the square footage, but we do, I love it mixing in, all the sound pressure levels, as you know, are set up for the size of the room, so getting on the meters will be the same, but it's never quite the same as sitting in a big room and listening to it, and that power you get when it's around you, or the visual, it's the whole thing, isn't it? And it makes you feel different. That's why I like it, and it is because you immerse yourself in that. All the lights go down, and it's like sitting in the cinema. It's a good judging point, I think, and I like it. Keeps everyone away from me. So.
All right. Well, that was great.